The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily express those of W Rock Radio and its sponsors. All shows are independently owned and broadcast for entertainment purposes only. Readers and listeners are advised that neither W Rock Radio nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of programs. Website content and any audio produced and streamed by W Rock Radio is protected copyright and may not be recorded, rebroadcast, redistributed, or reused without express written permission from W Rock Radio.
Welcome to Abstract Illusions Radio with host Jennifer Hillman. The show explores and reveals the human potential through creativity. So enjoy the show to create a life you love.
Hello everyone, this is Jennifer Hillman and this is Abstract Illusions Radio, where we explore and expose the different aspects of the creativity of the human potential. And I have been doing a series on poetry because it really expresses the different elements and edges and depth of the human experience. So I have on today Carolyn Riker, who is one of those people that you just connect with on every level when you read her poetries or her post. And I thought about this, and she was number one on my list of someone I needed to have on during this series. So I welcome you, Carolyn.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jennifer.
So when you were first starting your writing, did you really focus on poetry, or was that just something that happened to pop up?
Well, let's see. Writing for me has just been an evolution. I started very, very, very young when I first got one of those cute little diaries with a little tiny key, and I started writing little thoughts down. I would write something almost every day. I mean, anything from the peanut butter and jelly sandwich I had with the 6 potato chips and, pickle that I put next to it, whatever. I would write it down. And from that, it almost always would just go into poetry. And then later, now, like the last 3 years, I've probably switched more into articles as well as poetry, but articles and essays and prose.
And do you feel more comfortable? I mean, do you ever feel like you're exposing a part of you or opening up a wee too much?
Oh, way too much sometimes. Sometimes I just go, what on earth am I writing? And I have thousands of and I'm not exaggerating, pages of things that I have written that I've never shared with anybody. I have probably a new journal for every year in the last 3 years, for sure. There are pieces of me that come out that feel, okay, this is ready. This piece of me, this piece of my heart, yes, I can share. And those pieces are extremely vulnerable, and yet, for some reason, it connects with other people. And I'm so, so, so honored and grateful and thankful that it makes a connection.
Do you think that's the downside of writing poetry, is that exposure of that intimate side of you or that vulnerability?
I don't find it a downside. I find it a connecting side. I find it's a piece of humanity. I find it's a piece of love. I find it's a piece of a voice that we all carry within us, this vulnerable, sensitive piece that maybe we're not completely aware of, but we go, oh, wow, that sounds like my thoughts, but I wasn't quite sure how to say that. So for me, poetry and writing poetry in particular is a form of connecting into all of my senses, my surrounding, and my intuition. And almost inevitably, I tap into nature. Nature teaches me over and over and over again, and then the words just flow. Poetry's freedom too. There's fragments and there's sounds and there's colors, and it can all come through. It doesn't have to be as strict.
So it's almost like free form thought?
Sometimes it's very, very, very free form, very much like a river, a flow. Sometimes it's violent in that it's a storm. It's an internal storm and it has to erupt and come out. Sometimes it's the sea. Sometimes it's waves upon waves of information coming in. And sometimes it takes me 30 minutes to spill something out. Sometimes it takes me days to find just the right flow of words and the rhythm and the beat. And other times I just have to listen. I have to listen to what is coming up.
So within nature, is there something like, if you're feeling slightly blocked or feeling a little down, that you can always look at that just instantly just triggers you into that inspiration?
It depends. Uh, Sometimes I just have to walk. It's like a walking meditation. I'll just walk through my little garden and I'll start to feel my feet touch the moss. The moss is touching the grass is touching the earth. And then all of a sudden the connections will start to come out. Or I'll just look at a branch and I'll see the water hanging on the branch. And that just often triggers tears. I could just be waking up in the morning, which is kind of my tradition, is to get my mug and just go outside or go to the window and look and feel and think and listen. And the trees often bring up things. The evergreens in particular I have a strong connection with evergreens. If I'm in a very excited mood, it's very playful. If I'm more down, more introspective, more depressed, or more quiet, or more anxious, still nature will say, okay, listen to this piece, listen to that piece, go over here, and I'll follow to wherever I'm supposed to go in my yard. Go over to this rhododendron, go over to the hydrangeas, go over to the daisies, go over to the dry clump of dead whatever, because that's okay too. It's dead, it's molting, it's fermenting right now. It's winter here.
Hmm. With poetry, do you
Mhm.
feel like it's connected you to your own inner voice and your own intuition stronger than you had it before?
Mm, I think it's like a valve. Poetry is my valve for all the intuition within. And I think we all have our own set of intuition. We have our own
Hmm.
spirit and soul, and we connect to it. Poetry for me is the outlet. Writing is the outlet. It pours out through my hands, my fingers. My whole body is a part of the poetry. I become the poetry. It's almost an altered state of connecting not only with me but with the universe.
For me, when I'm writing poetry, there is a lot of times that it's like I'm speaking for someone else or something else. Do you ever get that feeling?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I get a collective joy or a collective grief, a deep, deep, deep sadness. A voice that needs to break through it comes out in the poetry that I write.
Is is there a piece that you have handy that you would like to read to illustrate your connection with nature?
I could try that. I could try that. This is a relatively recent piece. If safe had a sound, it might be soft rain. If solitude had a color, it might be misty gray. If sleep had a motion, it would be a wave. And so I asked my soul, if this moment could be savored one smidge more, how would it be? She answered, I would sing a solo so tender that rain would dance, and the gray of flannel would wrap warmly on a wave far, far out at sea, and I would slip into a solace of a deep, deep sleep.
Your poetry blows my mind. It just,
Thank you.
I'm laughing to myself and saying, oh my gosh, this is just so incredible. For people who want to read more of your work, you do have a blog that is Magic of Stardust?
Magic of Stardust and Words. It's on WordPress. I started that about a year ago. I also put my poetry and prose up on Facebook under Carolyn Riker. And I've been writing for Rebel Society and Women's Spiritual Poetry, and I've written for Elephant Journal and Tattooed Buddha and Women for One. And I've just been so very, very, very fortunate to have my words out there. And it's even hard for me to say when somebody asks me, oh, what do you do? I'll say, well, I'm a teacher and I'm a counselor. Oh, and I am a writer. And I haven't even gotten to the point where I can say I'm an author, but I've been published in books, and that just blows my mind. It's just hard to put my finger on it.
Now, is it 2 or 3 books now?
Yes, it's been three. It's been two books of poetry that I've been included in a collective with other women, beautiful, beautiful writers. And then the other one was prose, and that was also with another collection of writers.
And when is your book, Alone with Your Brilliance?
That is kind of my goal for this year, is to sit still and collect my words and do a book of poetry and prose. And I also still have, now I have three children's books in that stage of not quite ready, but they're coming. And again, they're very poetic poetry, the storyline. So hopefully, if I could just get one out this year, that would be lovely. And I'm not going to give myself any rules on it, or it won't happen. So if it's meant to come out this year, it will.
It's just with a 9 year and a year of completion, I think the universe is going to conspire to get at least one of those out.
I would love, I need a conspiracy. I need assistance. I need somebody to say, Carolyn, here's a stack. Please go through this. And I'm going to check in with you. I'm like, okay, okay, I hear you.
As an artist, as that part of you and going in that direction of writing and publishing,
Hmm.
is there any part of it business wise that you're a little bit leery of?
The marketing piece terrifies me. I feel like, oh, I can't brag about it. I can't. What? How am I gonna tell people that I've got a book available? But once, if I could just push that piece aside, I think that will help not to get overwhelmed. Gathering all of my material and the editing process, I start to get very negative and critical. Oh, that's not good enough. I should have done this. I should have done that. That's another piece I have to push aside repeatedly. No, 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 no. This is okay. You did a good job. Go with it. So those are, I guess, definitely weaknesses.
Is there any subject matter these days, because you have been really in a way stretching yourself by covering a lot of different things, not just with your poetry but with your prose?
Mm-hmm.
you're you're seeing I am seeing, as the audience, I'm seeing a lot more of societal shifting and questioning and pondering in your work. Is that something that you were expecting to go into, or did it just pop up and you said, yeah, this is something that needs to get out?
I realized in the last 2, 3 years that I have a very active inner activist that has been quiet. And that voice in me, is saying, no, speak up, speak out against racism, sexism, speak up and speak out for the minority. Give them the light, give them the center stage, support, solidarity, justice. These are the things that are starting to come out more and more in my work, and it is very it's showing me who I am. It's helping me to communicate to other people awareness. It's helping me to be more aware. It's hard to put into words. I never ever in a million years thought I would be writing a poem about the injustices in this world. I never thought in a million years I would be writing about white privilege. But
Do you have one of those handy to share?
I really don't. I wish I did. I did not pull up one of those. I could probably, yeah, I don't have one readily on hand.
That's fine. What would you like to share now?
Um, I have another small piece. This was part of a dream, and it does touch into activism. So here, I'll try this one. Once upon a time, there was a woman who had a dream, and in that dream, she was given a message. You are not from here. You come from the stars of Pleiades, the seven sisters. Your lesson is to learn and teach and share. With each step into her dream, she glided through passageways of vintage glass, carrying a most unusual umbrella. The mist skipped beats, and with every splash there was a symbol of sentient solitude. She was hypnotized as memories dripped off into a slight wind. Captivated by the soft tempo of rain, she watched as it shimmered between corded clouds. An evolution unfolded so rapidly it was intimidating and unnerving. Everything was a part of a fibrous network similar to the roots and branches of trees, all of us engaged in a fine synaptic connection of intelligent vibrations, living in a caustic, harsh world rupturing with negativities. However, powerful forces were creating an uprising, a conduit of awareness, activism, truth, love, and kindness, an outspoken resolve to end the darkness of injustices.
Powerful.
That one came in, that was part of a dream, and it was earth shattering to me to wake up to that.
Why was it earth shattering? In what sense? Just the fact that you got so much more insights about your side, yourself, or is it more because of truly opening your eyes to the injustice in the world?
Seeing the injustices in the world, seeing how we can go along with the status quo and not want to rock the boat, how we want to close our eyes and go, oh, that doesn't concern me, it doesn't bother me, I'm fine in my little bubble. Realizing that each person has a voice, each person could say, you know what, that's wrong, that doesn't feel right. So I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say something. Even one small voice connects to another, and then we all come together and we have a capacity to make a change. Our journeys and our dreams are so perplexing and yet revealing, and we have this one lifetime to make a difference. And that's where I want to be. I want to make a difference. And having that kind of dream to wake up to, there's more than just me in this dream. There's many of us in this dream.
So, with having such a dream
Mm-hmm.
and writing the poetry and the prose that you have in the articles,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you have made a difference?
Not to sound conceited, but yes. I,
That's not being conceited, that's being confident.
okay, well, all right. Yes. I am making a difference. I think word by word, yes.
And I agree with you because if you had said anything else, I was going to correct you.
Okay.
I mean, you make a difference in people's lives every time you post.
It is such an honor to have social media to put these little bits and pieces of thoughts and ideas and prose and poetry out there. To have the connection with other people, to communicate back and forth, to have conversation. And it's all over the world. I'm connecting from Kenya, to Australia, to England, and what what a golden opportunity. I I'm baffled by it all, and yet I still do it because I know I need to. It is part of my calling. It is part of who I am. It is my soul being set free, and it's no longer saying no, you can't. You have to. And I'm listening. It just blows my mind, Jennifer.
Do you ever feel like, did you ever think when you started writing poetry, you would be where you are now?
Absolutely not. I had no idea. No idea. I think I shared maybe 3 poems growing up, and I can remember in high school the teacher telling me, "Don't even consider writing. You don't know how to write. Don't, just stop. I don't even know what you're doing. It's horrible." I I just would be like, "Okay, I'll keep it to myself," and I did. I kept it to myself. It honestly hasn't been it. The last poem I wrote before the last 3 years was probably 18, 19 years ago. I just stopped. And so now, sharing my words, I look back and I thought, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this.
With the influence that you are building and becoming day
Mm-hmm.
by day,
Mm-hmm.
what suggestions do you have for others in writing poetry?
Write what feels important to you. Write from your heart. Try not to write for other people. When I get confused and I feel uneasy, like it happened actually this morning, I wanted to write something and I kept stumbling and stumbling and stumbling because what I wanted to write was so painful. And and it was about the Holocaust. And it was a very small snippet, and it was a movie that I saw, and I kept holding back. Oh, no, no, write something pretty, write something kind. But no, I had to write something a little more harsh. And I did, and it was fine. But stop, listen, go inward, hear what it is that you need to share and be and do, and then let that come out. And every single time we write and share, we connect with other people.
Knowingly or unknowingly, it's just our presence and our courage.
Yes, and nobody's right or wrong.
Yeah,
My
it's,
words are different than your words that are
yes.
different than somebody else's words. My style is totally different than this person or this person or this person. And that's even more beautiful because we're unique. And each of us have gifts, and we all have a different way of expressing ourselves. It, if we were all cookie cutter, or oh, I want to write like you, it wouldn't work. I want to hear somebody else's voice. I want to hear the staccato in their rhythm. I want to hear the fluidness of somebody's uh, view on nature. I want to hear somebody's outburst. I want to hear somebody swear in their writing. I want to hear their voice.
So, would you say there's been anybody who has made an impact or an influence to you?
Oh, Maya Angelou, of course. I go to her frequently. James Baldwin, I've listened to his tapes, I've heard his voice, and I just get inspired by him. T.S. Eliot comes to mind. Sometimes I just go to a bookstore just to be near the books, just to be near their spirit, if that makes sense.
Total sense. I do the same.
Okay, I go there and I feel surrounded by their heart and their soul and their message.
And with what would be your words of wisdom
Hmm.
for anyone who is afraid of writing poetry?
If you're afraid, then write for yourself. And if you could take one teeny tiny step over your own little edge, and these edges are not little, they're actually quite huge, share with one person or one being, or share your poem with a tree or a pet, maybe your cat or your dog. Just each time you share just a little snippet, you get a little closer to expressing it with somebody else. Share with one person, maybe if not to read it, to mail it to them, email it to them. That just breaks down the fear. Start really with your own personal journal. I'm big into journaling. I run journal writing classes, and journal writing often inspires people to write poetry. That's another way of practicing.
And do you have a final piece that you would like to end the show with?
Trust, trust yourself, trust your heart, trust the people you're with, trust the feelings that come up. Emotions are extremely important in poetry writing. Being in touch with your senses, closing your eyes, and listening. Listening is huge in writing. Reading, I stress that with my students. Read. If you're not sure what else you need to do and your homework is done, pick up a book and read, because you'll hear the voices of other people and it'll come out in your own words.
And with that, I say, Carolyn Riker, thank you so much. Again, her website is Magic of Stardust and Words. You can find her also on Facebook. There is, or Rebel Society, or Tattoo Buddha. I mean, just do a search, she'll pop up. She definitely is one of those people that I feel very blessed to know, and I am so grateful that you made the time to spend this half an hour with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much.
And with that, we will be right back after this break.